Hello there, this is the Lonely Bushcrafter. I've just returned to my camp, or what was my camp, because if you look behind me, where's it gone? It's no longer here. The truth is, a couple of weeks ago I came up to check my camp, and there'd been some heavy rain and quite a bit of wind, and my table had collapsed. It was very old, and I mentioned in the previous video that this was going to need some repair. I've been plagued here with the rain. I'd always planned to have some sort of undercover shelter. So what I've done, from where I'm standing now, I'm now stood in the space where the table used to be. Behind me was where the seats used to be. There's the river, obviously. You can see I've cleaned. There's not a speck of where I've been. The old leave no trace maxim. And what I've done, as where I used to look at the table and look over it, now I've built a camp 10 feet behind, but it's now got a tarp cover, which is providing great shelter in the rain and some shelter from the wind. And I've got a new table, so I'll just stop now, spin the camera around and take you a walk through from the old camp to the new. This is where the original, so just see there where the branches have rubbed slightly against the moss of that tree, and same here against this one. This was the corner, and there was a seat from here to here, and then if I can find my finger, from there to that tree, and from there to there was where I had my table. That's where it collapsed. If you can see in the background, this is where there's a fallen tree, which I'd always thought of using as a bridge, but it's a bit too precarious for me. You can just see the roof of the new shelter, and you can just see a rubbish bag hanging in the back, so I've just had some lunch here. So walking through the old camp towards the new one, you can see the end of my table there with my Spanish windlass. I've built up the sides here just a bit and just thrown literally branches against it to give it a little bit of camouflage. Going inside, I built a freestanding seat. As you can see, my Bergen sitting on that one. This big tree here provided a lot of little branches to hang things from, so I've got my rubbish bag there, which I always take all my rubbish with me when I leave. There's a mallet I made whilst I was setting this camp up to make my life a little bit easier. You can see I've used bent branches. I mean, I've got to do some extra work, but get my boy up here and give me some help, because it does sag there, as you can see. But there's my table, very untidy as usual. Secured there to stop it falling off. On the other side there's a branch, but it's all going well. And I mean, looking out from the door, that's where my old camp was. So barely a mark. I should think inside a year those little scars on the trees will heal up. Bit of moss over them, you wouldn't even know I was there. So that's the way to leave a camp. Leave no trace. Every time. It's just good courtesy and good practice, and it doesn't pollute, obviously. So there you go. I'll just switch. Here I am sitting inside. I thought I'd give a quick update as to how I'm getting on with the abstaining from alcohol. I'm over 3 months. The 3-month date was 14th of August. I haven't touched a drop, I haven't felt a craving, I haven't needed alcohol. Alcohol, I think, in retrospect now, needed me more than I needed it. I just got into the habit of drinking it. Strongest thing I drink now is black coffee, which, if you read the newspapers, every other week it's bad for you, and every other week from that it's absolutely fantastic. It's a lifesaver. So I'm just going to carry on drinking my black coffee and see how I go. On the subject of health, I had my liver checked. I had some blood taken and my liver checked out. Now, when I first went, it said that my liver was slightly swollen, and there's this factor that, or some sort of an enzyme the liver produces, and it overproduces it when it's swollen. And I think it needs to be below, whatever the scale is, it's below 50. I was at 100. First time I went back to have it checked again, it dropped down to 60. This is after the detox. The safe level's around 25. Following this latest test, it's now at 24. Everything else seemed to have resumed its normal function. I'm absorbing vitamin B12 again, which I wasn't before, because there's a factor that the liver produces, intrinsic factor that helps you absorb, or it allows you to absorb vitamin B12. And when you drink too much alcohol, or it would appear that when you drink too much alcohol, you don't absorb any B12. And for a couple of years I had pernicious anemia, which I had to have B12 injections every month so that I had some B12 in my body. It would appear now that I can absorb B12, so when I thought I was doing myself some good by taking vitamin supplements, particularly B12, the B group, it was just being passed straight through me. Now I'm absorbing it, so my health is returning, and I think it's a message to anybody who wants to give up. I was drinking a lot, and I'm not proud of that. It's not a boast. I'm rather sort of embarrassed about the situation that I have been in. It made me very unproductive, but I'm back. I've even dusted off my bike. This is push bike, to get some exercise and get myself fit. I need to get fit. My doctor said one of the things I do need to do is lose a bit of weight, and I know that. I'm probably a stone and a half, 2 stone overweight, so watch the space. But I was signed off from the detox people last week. My final appointment, that was after 3 months. The lady who dealt with me the whole time, fantastic woman. I trusted her. We got on very well, and I owe her a great debt. She said, well, you did it yourself, and I said, well, yeah, so I did, but without the support of the Harbour Centre and the drug detox nurse, I don't think I'd have got through it. I wouldn't have passed stage 1. I wouldn't have thought about going, because I was in denial, and I was just making excuses for myself. Oh, I'll cut down next week, I'll cut down the week after, blah blah blah. It doesn't work. I'm very grateful to be sitting here with my liver in better shape than it's been for years, so that's a great start for me. It feels like a new year in August, which is bonkers mad, but this is how it's feeling for me. I'm not saying I don't get miserable every now and again, because I've got my demons, but what I would say is I'm not reaching for the bottle. I'm not even thinking about it. So it can be done. I'm lucky, I suppose, and it came relatively easy to me. But as I said in the previous video, I was ready, I was committed, and I really wanted to do it. I didn't want to let myself down. I still have people thinking that when I come up here onto Dartmoor, to have a bit of fresh air and do a bit of bushcraft. But I'm up here swigging from a bottle, you know, a hip flask or something. I don't drink and drive, never have. Wouldn't want to see the results. I'm up here because I like fresh air, I like a bit of solitude. I'm a person who's very happy in his own company. I don't need everybody rushing around telling me how brilliant I am, or pat me on the back and hail fellow well met. It's nice, but I'm very, very happy sitting up here, watching the water go by, having something to eat, some coffee, and let the world go by just for a little while. It's more of a meditation. So no, you know, I just don't need alcohol. There are things I miss. I miss the taste of beer. I did like beer. I liked bitter, and I liked the different sorts of lagers, but it was killing me because I had no control. The alcohol was controlling me. So I've just found different things to do, and you know, you don't need alcohol. I didn't need it before I started drinking too much, and I don't need it now. It's a bit like anything. It's a bit like people who overeat. I mean, I'm guilty of that to a degree. You don't need to overeat. You only need enough nutrition to keep you alive and keep your body functioning. You don't need that great big bar of chocolate. You don't need that big bag of crisps or bag of donuts or whatever it happens to be. It's a habit, and if you can break that habit, get off the roundabout, even for a briefest time, and look back at yourself, you can see that you were mugging yourself. You were making a rod for your own back. If you eat too much, you get overweight. If you get overweight, you get sluggish. If you get sluggish, you don't want to move, and you put more weight on. I got that way with alcohol. It was a habit. I hadn't got to the point where I was rolling out of bed first thing in the morning and reaching for a bottle. By the time the evening came, I was really very, very keen to hit the bottle. I've been watching films. I've been seeing the ends of films. I've been catching up with a back catalogue of films that I haven't ever seen the ends of, because with all the best will in the world, I'd start watching them, and halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, I'd be fast asleep, out cold from the drink. I'm watching the ends of films now. It's brilliant. I actually know what the film's about. People say, did you see such and such? And I used to say, yeah, and I could talk about the first half to 3/4, but I wouldn't know what the end was. So I can do that now. It's great fun. Absolutely great fun. I'll be back up here again soon. I might, if I get the bike out, I might do a short video on the bike. It's just one of those things. I haven't been on a bike. I mean, I used to ride every day for health, not for any transport. It was purely to get out there and get some wind in my lungs. I haven't done that for years and years and years. That's going to be my next goal: get myself out, find my cycling kit, and get back on the road, start hammering some miles under me. It's a lovely day here in Devon. The reason I came out wasn't to make a film. I came out purely to just take the air, get the sunshine on me. It has been raining. My shelter here was all baggy with water, but nothing that I couldn't sort out with a stick in 2 minutes. I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to find some more interesting things to do here now. My boy's quite keen to come up. I say boy's a man now, 20. But he quite enjoys the bushcraft style stuff, and he loves eating outdoors. So you know, that's good. I'm also now about to get my head down and seek some work. I've taken a year out. I was able to. I was in a very fortunate position to take a year out. It's just, but obviously there is a finite limit to the amount of money you have to support you, and I'm going to have to find some work soon. But that'll be good for me. That'll get me back into the frame, motivated to live again. You know, a goal, nothing like a hard day's work and a pay packet. So on that note, I'll sign off now. So it's the Lonely Bushcrafter signing off from somewhere on Dartmoor. Till next time, you take care.